Hi everyone, welcome back to yet another episode of ARA, Anxiety Recovery with Albright. If you're new here, in this channel we create videos about everything anxiety, whether you're struggling with generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, social anxiety, health anxiety, depression, OCD, eating disorder, any type of anxiety disorder, you are in the right place. If you have not yet subscribed, I would urge you to subscribe because it helps the channel grow. In this channel, I share my own experience of suffering from anxiety. I struggled with anxiety for 6 years, so I share my own experience of suffering and recovery to help others who are still struggling. So let's get started into the video. So in this particular video, I want to talk about something called setbacks. Have you ever heard the term setbacks? What is a setback and how do we handle setbacks? So a setbacks is when you have been feeling good for a long period of time, then all of a sudden you feel like you are back to square one. You feel like the symptoms are back with a bang. You feel like now you are experiencing intense anxiety symptoms just like before. You are confused, you don't know how to respond. How many have experienced that? I want you to comment down with this emoji of raising your hand. Have you experienced a setback? And probably you have experienced a setback, because I've not heard of anyone who has recovered from anxiety without experiencing countless setbacks. Setbacks are actually a good sign. A lot of anxiety sufferers feel like when they are experiencing setbacks, they are unique. Maybe they will never recover from anxiety. They feel like the work they have been doing has been washed down the drain. That is not what it means to have a setback. So I want to explain why people experience setbacks and how to be able to handle setbacks like a pro. So when I was in the anxiety cycle, we all have been in the rock bottom stage. The rock bottom stage is where you don't understand what is happening. You are experiencing these physical symptoms, you are experiencing the intrusive thoughts, you are experiencing the feelings of unreality, the panic attacks. You don't understand what is happening. You are feeling anxious 24/7. Anxiety is all you think about. You literally don't understand what is happening. So when you are at the rock bottom stage, of course, now the action that you're going to take is go to the hospital. You go to the hospital, you are given these, medications. You are told you can only manage and cope, but still you are not satisfied. You're just like, okay, how will I be able to live with these anxiety symptoms every day of my life? So you start doing your research. If you are diagnosed with anxiety, well and good, because I find out, like, the more I talk to you guys, I realize some of you have not even been diagnosed, so it's a roller coaster. So whether you have been diagnosed or not, you start doing your research about what you're feeling, about the feelings of unreality, about the panic attacks, about the physical symptoms that you are feeling. Then maybe you find me, or you find Paul David's book, or you find Claire Wick's book. Then you realize anxiety is actually something that you can recover from. So even you knowing that you can recover from anxiety actually makes you feel relief from the anxiety symptoms. You educate yourself on the anxiety subject, you understand what is happening, you learn to respond to the anxiety symptoms, the behaviors that are keeping you stuck in the anxiety cycle. Then you suddenly start feeling good. That was it for me. When I educated myself on the anxiety subject, I found out that anxiety is something that someone can recover from, how to respond. I actually felt better. That's why I always say educate yourself on the anxiety subject, because you are not going to go down the rabbit hole. You're not going to be stuck, and also you're going to just feel better. You're going to feel relief from the anxiety symptoms. You are not going to feel as sick as you were when you didn't know what was happening. So you have educated yourself on the anxiety subject, you start feeling relief, you learn how to respond, you learn the behaviors that are keeping you stuck in the anxiety cycle. Then you start feeling good for even 3 months, because that was it for me. I just felt good for 3 months consistently. Then all of a sudden I started experiencing a setback. I started going back to, the behaviors that were keeping me stuck in the anxiety cycle. I started worrying. I started overthinking. What have I done wrong? Maybe I'm not perfect in my response. Why am I experiencing this anxiety symptom? So that is a setback. And a lot of anxiety sufferers stay stuck in a setback because they don't understand that a setback is necessary for you to recover from anxiety. Every other person who has recovered from anxiety has gone through a setback. There is no recovery without a setback. And a setback can happen because of many reasons. When we are experiencing anxiety, it's not like we are not going to experience stressors. Stressors are all over. Even people who are, non-sensitized, they experience stressors. So maybe something that can be a trigger to your anxiety, stress maybe can, elevate your anxiety, and you start thinking, okay, I've been doing well. Why am I still experiencing this anxiety symptom? Why have these symptoms come back? That is called a setback. So a trigger can be a setback. A trigger is anything that, elevates your anxiety. Maybe it's stress, maybe it's going out, maybe it's driving. That one can create a setback. And a setback, you don't don't need to avoid a setback. Another reason for a setback is your brain still wants to see if there's still a threat. Your brain wants to see if you are still afraid. So it tests you. It sends those adrenaline surges your way. And if you react with panic, if you react with fear, that means the threat is still there, and it will keep on sending you, it will keep on pumping your body with more of the stress hormones. The third reason why people experience setbacks is because you still have anxious energy within, and that is one of the main reasons. For me, when I used to experience a setback, I used to say, okay, I still have anxious energy within. You still have anxious energy within that needs to be released. So anytime I experience a setback, I could say, okay, I still have anxious energy within that needs to be released. And a setback is a blessing. Yeah, this one may not feel, some people may feel uncomfortable with this statement, but a setback is a blessing, because the brain only learns when anxiety is turned on. Because you're not going to say that, you want to practice the principles of anxiety recovery when you're calm. When you're calm, you don't need, like, literally, you're just living your life. You're just, you're just doing your thing. But the best time to practice the principles of anxiety recovery is when you're experiencing a setback, because the brain learns when anxiety is turned on. So anytime you experience a setback, just say, okay, this is anxious energy within, and this is a blessing. This is the best time for me to practice the principles of anxiety recovery. This is the best time for me to rewire my brain. This is the best time for me to show my brain that really stop sending me those alarms. There is no danger here. So the three reasons why you experience a setback is because of, you still have anxious energy within that needs to be released. Things that you consider triggers can elevate your anxiety, and also the brain wants to test if you are still afraid. And setbacks are part of the recovery journey. You do not go back to, your old behaviors that are keeping you stuck in the anxiety cycle. Now you are going back to, Googling your symptoms, worrying, okay, what have I done wrong so that I am experiencing these setbacks? You start overthinking your situation. Setbacks are part of the anxiety journey. And with setbacks, you respond to them the same way you respond to anxiety symptoms. Setbacks are not a different entity from anxiety. You respond to them the same way you respond to anxiety symptoms. Even people who are, non-sensitized, even people who are non-anxious, they experience tough days. They experience, there are good days and there are bad days. Even someone who is, they have never struggled with anxiety, someone who is just out there living their life, there are good days and bad days. So in the bad days, that they're gonna just sit in the house and start, why am I feeling this way? No, they're gonna go to work. They're going to go to their businesses. They're going to live their life with them feeling that way. So the same way with you experiencing setbacks. With anxiety, there are times where you feel, good. And then there are times where, the adrenaline is being burnt off in your body and the anxious energy just needs to be released. Then now you are experiencing these setbacks. Recovery from anxiety is 2 steps forward and 1 step backward. It is not a straight line. It is an up and down affair. That's why people experience setbacks. And the best example I can give you for a setback is like someone who is a drug addict and is trying to recover from their addiction from drugs. They are gonna experience setbacks. They are gonna feel uncomfortable. They are gonna feel bad. There are times where they just feel like they need to go back and take that substance, because their body is releasing these toxins from their body. The withdrawal, when you're withdrawing from any addiction, if you have ever been addicted to drugs or something, when you're withdrawing from any addiction, the toxins in your body are being released, and that process is uncomfortable. That is the process that I compare best with anxiety, because that process is uncomfortable. You just feel like, okay, maybe if I go back to the usage of those drugs, I will feel better. But that's not the case. For you to be able to come out on the other side, you have to feel the discomfort. So the same with anxiety recovery. It is not a straight line. It is an up and down affair. Recovery is 2 steps forward and 1 step backward. So the next time you are experiencing a setback, just say, my body is trying to heal from the stress, the chronic stress that I put it through. It doesn't mean something like, I've been doing something. There is no right or wrong. There is no perfect. A lot of anxiety sufferers, and I think I'll create a video on this, a lot of anxiety sufferers are staying stuck because they're trying to be perfect in their response. There is no right or wrong in the, in the anxiety recovery journey. It's just, are you able to respond correctly? That's what matters. So anytime you experience a setback, just say, okay, it is anxious energy being released. My body is trying to heal from the stress, and that's just it. You trying to feel better like you felt previously. You trying to fix how you feel is the reason why you have been stuck in that setback for a long time. And a setback can last as long as it can. People ask, like, this setback for 1 month, 2 months, okay, am I unique or something like that? A setback can last as long as it can. Don't be bothered by how long. It will last as long as it can. Setbacks are just like the heart palpitations, are just like the panic attacks. You have no control over it. They can appear at any time, and the way to respond to setbacks is the same. Just place it under the anxiety umbrella, focus on overcoming anxiety, and you'll no longer experience those setbacks. So if you have worked up to this point, make sure to, share this video to other people who may need it. Comment down below if you have experienced setbacks. A thumbs up for this video, like this video, and also subscribe because it helps the channel grow. Remember, I have a coaching program that I help people overcome anxiety disorders. If anxiety disorders is something that you have struggled with for a long time and you really want to let it go, if you're serious about your recovery, use this WhatsApp or this email to reach out to me. I will personally hold your hand out of the anxiety cycle. We will talk about your specific situation so that I can be able to tell you how to go about that. Use this WhatsApp or this email to reach out to me. Otherwise, let's meet on the next video. Bye.